Can Colorado actually lose to 4-6 Kansas? I mean, they could, but they're not going to.
You are Locked On College Football with Spencer McLaughlin, your daily podcast on all things college football. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Locked On College Football. I'm your host, Spencer McLaughlin. Thank you so much for making this your first listen or your first view every day. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, and your number one source to stay up to date with the biggest stories in the greatest sport on planet Earth. This episode brought to you by friends over at FanDuel, where you can get a big return. New customers place a $5 bet, and you'll get $150 in bonus bets if you win that first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. We'll pick every game in the Big 12. We'll pick every game in the ACC. And we'll do the first two segments of the show with that man right there, Drake Toll of Locked On Big 12. So here's why I like Colorado, Drake. They have been an ascending team in the last few weeks. They are playing much more complimentary football as the season goes on. I thought they'd be better this year, but they have even surpassed my expectations. It's a tough time for the Deion haters out there, of which I have been falsely accused of being. But alas, here I am picking Colorado to win and cover against Kansas because, well, they went on the road. They beat BYU last week. Two things. Number one, BYU was not sustainable with the way they were playing, just like Miami wasn't sustainable. They lost to Georgia Tech. And number two, Kansas won that game with, checks notes, less than 250 yards of total offense. You're not going to win that way against the Buffs. I like Colorado here.
Yeah, first and foremost, congratulations on getting your own name on the show, Princess.
Thank you. That was several weeks ago, and you've been on multiple times since then, but it's good to know you're paying attention.
Real cute. Colorado, foot in mouth for me. I keep saying this, but I can't apologize enough. I was just wrong. I got it wrong completely and entirely.
What did you think of them
Sanders.
before the year?
I was ready for the Colorado Buffs to go 5-7, and immediately somebody's in the comment section going, "Oh, we aren't 5-7." I know, I understand. I was incorrect in thinking that the team who carried 4- and 5-star players last year but couldn't get it done in the in the Pac-12.
There it is. He found it. He got there eventually.
Hello. A little bit too much cold brew. Couldn't get it done in the Big 12. And you're seeing that from Utah, and you're seeing it from Arizona right now. It's just tough to adjust to conferences. Not if you're Colorado or Arizona State. Both those
I was going to say, you
on
better
the
be
rise.
shouting out the Sun Devils in there.
Yeah, exactly. And now with where the Buffs are, completely surprised from my standpoint. I know a lot of Buffaloes fans would claim that they weren't. They were ready for this to happen. They are the most talented team on paper in the entire Big 12. When you talk about 4 and 5 stars, go back to 24/7, and it hasn't been Jimmy Horn Jr. like we thought. It hasn't been an improved run game like we thought. It hasn't been a dominant offensive line, a better offensive line for sure, but not dominant whatsoever. It's been Travis Hunter on offense, who's carried the number one wide receiver role. And now there are a lot of folks come out of the woodwork say, well, it was going to be Travis Hunter all along. No, beginning of the season, he could have been your wide receiver 3 because of the depth in that room. But now he's the number one guy. And Shedeur Sanders, for some reason, is sneakily in the Heisman conversation. We kind of forgot about him in the middle of the year, but his numbers are impeccable. He should certainly be in New York. And the Buffs are the most dangerous team in the Big 12 right now.
Yeah, I think they are playing really good football. Good teams peak in November. The Patriots under Bill Belichick, they always peaked in November and December. Andy Reid, end of the year, boy, that guy wins a lot of football games. I know they just lost to the Bills, but you know what? Turns out the Bills are also pretty good, whatever you think of Sean McDermott. But this is a college football show, so let's recenter here. But going back to Kansas.
What are your favorite November NHL teams, Spencer? Okay, great.
I don't follow hockey. I follow real sports. There, I said it, and I'm going to anger people, and that's okay. So Colorado and Kansas in this spot. You and I both like Kansas before the year because on paper they should have been good. This is why you play games on the field. There's no better example than Kansas and Utah, who you and I infamously at this point picked to square off in the Big 12 championship game, and they're not going to do that.
And Joel Klatt, we all
screwed that one up. But the team that Kansas has been in the last couple of weeks, they beat Iowa State, they beat BYU. This is the Kansas we thought we'd see before the year. But I watched them last week against BYU and said, I don't know if they win the game if a pooch punt doesn't hit the back of a BYU player that leads to a Kansas touchdown. And BYU almost pulled off the magical drive once again. I don't think that they've got enough to keep up with Colorado here. I don't trust the offense, as amazing as that is to say, with a returning head coach in Lance Leipold. They lost their offense coordinator, but they bring back Jalen Daniels, who's finally looked like himself again over the second half of this year. There is some cause for optimism, for Kansas in this game, which I'll get to in a sec, but I just don't think that Kansas has the defense to slow down the Buffs to where their offense can hang.
No, I don't think so. I do believe last week against BYU was a one-off defensively for Kansas. They do not grade well on that side of the football. And I made a comment on my show this week that I want to backtrack a bit, and it actually applies to what you just said, that this is kind of the version of Kansas we were promised. I still don't think it's as good as the version of Kansas we were promised, at least not consistent enough. We after the Houston game said, wow, 42-14 against a Houston team that's gotten better. Are they back? Then they lose against Kansas State, who we know right now is not playing very good football. And obviously, these last 2 weeks have been great for the Jayhawks, but still, if they play like this the whole year, I believe they're 8-4, 9-3, not in the Big 12 championship. They're not at the peak potential of what they could be. Are they ascending there? Sure, but they already have 6 losses. Like, it's too late to contend for literally anything if you're the Jayhawks. Dangerous, yes.
Bowl eligibility, they're fighting for that.
Which, I mentioned this as well, if you are Nebraska or Michigan, bowl eligibility is kind of stupid. You want to win championships. You want to go to the college football playoff. You don't care about the Tax Slayer Bowl. Kansas fans do.
Sorry, Nebraska hasn't been to a bowl game since when? I think they would love to win their 6th game of the year.
It's just, there are proud programs in this country that are like, we have a way higher standard than this. Kansas is still not there yet. A bowl game means a lot to that fan base. I guess Nebraska now, a bowl game would mean a lot to their fan base. For the Jayhawks, yeah, they have that to play for, but all real stakes are gone. All legitimate stakes are gone unless you want to play in the Armed Forces Bowl at TCU's stadium. So Colorado, they got the Jimmies and the Joes, and they're playing much better football even still than a Kansas team who looks improved. I don't see the Jayhawks hanging around too much in this one. And even with that said, I think the Buffs win by 10 or 13. That's a pretty good little chunk given as well as Kansas is playing, I guess.
Here's the sliver of hope and the olive branch I'll extend to the Jayhawks fans out there that gives me some inclination as to why Vegas has this as a 3-point spread, according to our friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook.
Which will be covered, by the way. Jeez.
Yeah, I completely agree. Completely agree. Bet maybe not the mortgage, but half of it on Colorado -3. I think you'll be okay there. Kansas has done a good job protecting Jalen Daniels so far this year. Drake, through 10 games, how many sacks has Kansas allowed?
5.
9.
Oh, wow.
They've allowed 9.
Which pretty darn good.
It is quite good. And what has been the strength of this Colorado?
Which makes me even more upset with Jalen Daniels. They're giving you time to throw. You're just throwing it to the other team.
Yes, he has just been I don't know. I don't know what happened there. But the strength of this Colorado defense, you can talk about Travis Hunter all you want, it's the defensive line. That is why that side of the ball has changed for the Buffs. And at the very least, Kansas is capable of holding serve, neutralizing, having an advantage in that area of the trenches where other teams probably would not. So maybe that's how Kansas can hang around. But boy, Jalen Daniels has to protect the football. You give extra possessions to Kansas's defense to come on the field. I don't care who's playing offense on the other side, unless it's BYU apparently. They're going to score points.
Yeah, I do think that Colorado's secondary needs some love there, too. They've been so solid this season. When your secondary and your front line is good on defense, that's a very good sign. I love the Buffs in this one, and it makes me think maybe opposing defenses are intentionally not sacking Jalen Daniels so he can throw the ball. Maybe that's what they want.
It's the EA College Football 25 strategy. Just drop 7 to 8 or 9 guys in coverage, and eventually they'll throw it to the wrong color jersey.
Yes, and that's what Jalen Daniels has done this year. Yeah, give me the Buffs big time.
Yeah, I completely agree. What about the rest of the Big 12? How's that playing out? Well, we're going to try and predict every single game, and we're not going to fail because we never have before. Our predictions are the best. You guys stick around for those. Duh. First, let's talk about skylight frames. Are you missing someone this holiday season and you want them to be a part of your festivities from afar? Well, we've got the perfect gift for you. Skylight Frame is the touchscreen digital photo frame your whole family will love. Upload thousands of photos with your phone and watch them appear in seconds. And it's super easy to use because they want people like me that aren't necessarily the most tech savvy to have an easy time, and they make sure of that. Add new photos straight from your phone from anywhere. It only takes a tap on your phone to send new photos to a frame across the country. It's the fastest, easiest way to keep loved ones in the loop. And now, as a special limited time offer for our listeners, get $20 off your purchase of a skylight frame when you go to skylightframe.com/college. That's SKYLIGHTFRAME.com/college. Get $20 off your purchase now at skylightframe.com/college. college. Then go check out our friends at FanDuel. They're America's #1 sportsbook. You don't want to go to the #2 sportsbook or 3 or 4 or 17. You want #1. And that's what FanDuel is. And right now, new customers can bet $5 and get 115 bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get 150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch. Make every moment more, not less, more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Arizona State is beating BYU. That's the way I see it. BYU fans, it was fun while it lasted. Our arrangement has come to a close, and I am now legitimately, for better or worse, on your behalf, picking Arizona State to win this game. We had a good thing running, and then BYU screwed it up last week. An interception in the end zone, muffing a pooch punt. I mean, just complete and utter insanity. It could have continued, but alas, it did not. I don't think they're as good as Arizona State. You talk about teams that are on the ascension, that are playing really good football. Arizona State has a much more complimentary offense than anyone wants to give it credit for. I think they can run the ball better than BYU. I think they can throw it just as well as BYU. I think Retzlaff and Levitt have both done a lot of really good things at the quarterback position so far this season. Arizona State at home, I think, is a hard-fought, competitive football game. I will take Arizona State 27-24.
Oh, I'm sorry, Spencer. Are you bringing vibes to an analytics fight?
Yes.
It sounds like
yes,
it.
I am.
If you ask the computer, which you and I both use the same computer, by the way, it says BYU will win this game 29-26.
It's wrong. It's wrong.
One of the big things that I like that goes BYU's favor this week is actually the vibes. The crowd is going to be 40% BYU. This is one of those pick-me-up games where the coaching staff says, look around you, kids. They're here for you. And I think BYU is still the better football team overall than Arizona State. They find a way to get it done on the road. They win it by 4.
The once and future Big 12 contenders, Iowa State and Utah, square off in Salt Lake City in a game that does still have some meaning. Iowa State can backdoor their way into the Big 12 championship game and therefore the college football playoff. That's entirely possible. They're still ranked. I think Iowa State wins because can Utah score? Wait, Drake, answer that question. Can Utah score the points?
They had 24 against Colorado, but even if they scored 24 here, it's not working, buddy.
Yeah, I'm taking the Cyclones 30-20. No. That's too high scoring. Too high scoring. Utah defense at home. I'll give more credit than that and less respect to the offense because the fans are just going to look. I think they could start booing the offense at some point in time. 23-13. I'll take Iowa State in the spot.
Well, did you know the Iowa State Cyclones are top 30 in the country, both running and throwing the football efficiency-wise? Give me Iowa State by a final score of 30-13. This one's a blowout at Utah. There are boos that are thrown down on the field. Also, Iowa State dominant against Cincinnati. Utah has pretty much packed it in. Sorry, Utes fans. Iowa State on the ascension enough to get it done on the road this week.
West Virginia against UCF in the we didn't live up to expectations bowl of the week. I'm not going to say the season because, boy, I feel like we have one of these matchups every week. I'm like, what could have been? I mean, the next game we're picking is Arizona TCU. Talk about what was supposed to be or what could have been.
I love it this week for West Virginia and UCF is the we can't fire our coach bowl. Usually it's the fire the coach bowl. It's the we wish, but we can't.
Yeah, we can't. West Virginia at home, I think they snake one out 24-23.
I think it's over. I think the season's over for West Virginia right now. The way they played against Baylor, especially in that second half where you just couldn't string anything together. UCF, Dylan Risk at quarterback, one of the 8 quarterbacks they've tried, is finally playing well enough to get the Knights a win. They win this game, and it's high scoring as usual. No West Virginia defense, 34-31, a shootout. Neil Brown, just leave. Go to UMass. Leave.
UMass. They play Georgia this week because that's how SEC scheduling works. Just for all of you out there that want to get annoyed at that, I get annoyed at it every single year, and I'm going to continue being annoyed until it goes away. Speaking of annoyed, I'm annoyed at TCU. I have been for a very long time since this season began because I watched Josh Hoover play quarterback. I watched their offense altogether, and I see a team that could win a Big 12 championship. And then I watched their defense all year and went, Well, that's not what it was supposed to be. It is a waste of a great offense and a really good quarterback. I think they're going to have to fight to keep Josh Hoover out of the transfer portal, Drake, because that guy's been spinning the football all season long. Yeah. Arizona finally won a game. Hooray! Go crazy, Tucson. You didn't lose again. Good job. I'll take TCU at home 33-27.
I don't think TCU covers, but I do think the Horned Frogs end up winning. TCU
number's 11.5. I agree. It's a tad big.
Josh Hoover is good at football still. He can still throw the ball. This one goes higher scoring than Arizona's probably used to. Give me 38-30. TCU wins it. I don't know what happened to the Arizona offense, but Arizona picks it up a bit on that side of the ball, and it's still not enough. They fall. Oh, you played good defense against Houston last week? All right, bud. Give me TCU. But Arizona plus the points.
What happened to Arizona's offense? They lost Jacob Cowing, Tanner McLaughlin, Jonah Coleman, and NFL offensive lineman, and their head coach and play caller.
But Spencer, they have Ted McMillan and Noah Fafita. They've still got to be good.
Turns out you need more than two guys. And by the way, Arizona and Colorado have been interesting contrasts this year because both teams have been on paper just kind of carried by two guys. It's like, oh, well, it's these two guys. Guess who's had the better supporting cast this year? Colorado by a country mile. It's not particularly close.
How many touchdowns does Jimmy Horn Jr. have this year?
Ooh, off the top of my head, I'm going to say 7.
1.
Really?
I know. And Colorado is damn good at football.
But when you watch Colorado's offense, Travis Hunter's a big part of it. Is he the only part of it? Absolutely not.
Right. Agreed.
Absolutely not.
But their leading rusher has like 350 yards. So you could make the case.
I didn't say that they were running the ball. I just said that there are more than two guys.
But there are two that are in their own tier, which is okay. They're still good at football,
yeah, 100%.
Supporting cast, good, yes.
Yeah, Noah Fafita has just been a disappointment this year for the fans in Tucson. But hey, there's always next season.
Hey.
Maybe we'll see. We'll see how it goes. How about Baylor? Newly minted top 25 JP poll team. Baylor been playing. You're a Baylor guy, Drake. I mean, they're gonna win at Houston, right? Like, I'm taking them 23-17, but like, why?
Alma mater. It's just it's a beautiful thing to see the Baylor Bears lose to Houston this week. They lost to them last year. It would be the most college football thing ever because you hit your 6-game clips and say, extend the coach. If that is the way your football program is operating, I get it. Baylor's on an uptrend. Recruiting class is good. The quarterback's coming back. But this feels like the week we're like, we're safe. And you're never safe. Houston is good. Kansas is playing better. Those are the next 2 games for the Bears. They split those. Though I do think Baylor gets the win this week against the Houston Cougars. 7-4 Baylor Bears.
Texas Tech goes to Stillwater. Poor Oklahoma State fans it's their worst season ever under Mike Gundy. Yes, I'm fairly certain.
Yeah, they've never gone below 500. This is unheard of. Yeah.
This is not something that happened. This is typically one of the highest floor programs in the entire country. It'd be the equivalent of, I don't know, Utah winning like one conference game all year. Craziness. Absolute madness. Those things couldn't happen in the same season, right? Well, here we are anyway. So Oklahoma State at home. I like Texas Tech. Texas Tech, I think, is one of the Big 12 teams. I've been like right down the middle on being right on teams before the year in terms of where their record is going to be. Texas Tech is one of the teams I've been right on. I think they win. I think they are winning by 7 points. I don't know how much defense gets played in this particular game. 38-31, Texas Tech.
I don't know how much offense gets played by Oklahoma State. 37-17. Tech runs away with this one in Boone Pickens.
That's how every single game in the Big 12 is going to play out because we've never been wrong on any predictions ever at any time.
Oklahoma State's going to win, aren't they?
Oklahoma State is 100. Yeah, congratulations, Cowboys. You're going to win a game. Cody Stovall, Locked On Big 12, is going to be ecstatic. He's going to have a...
When he sees it, he's going to say, they said what? Us, we're going to win. Yes, Cody.
That was a pretty good Cody. Drake Toll, Locked On Big 12. Appreciate it as always, Drake.
All right.
Is the ACC just boring? Is that where the ACC is at? Like, it's supposed to be on par with the Big 12. From an entertainment standpoint, it is...
We have Neo.
It is definitively...
What do you mean on par? We have Neo.
That's why I said it's supposed to be. But here's the thing. You could see chaos in the ACC this week. Yeah, or you could not. But you should pay attention anyway. It's a lot more exciting than most people give it credit for. That's coming up next. First, this episode brought to you by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less than on at least 2 player stats for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. And like I said, you can win up to 100 times your money with as few as 4 correct picks. Do you think you're a stat savant? Do you look at a guy's total before a game and say, I know exactly how that's playing out? Put your money where your mouth is over at Prize Picks, because that's the number one place to go. And Prize Pick now offers Venmo for quick and easy deposits and withdrawals into your account this sports season. So Prize Picks, that's the place that you got to go. Download the app today. Use code LOCKEDONCollege. Get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's downloading the app, Prize Picks, using the code LOCKEDONCollege, and get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, check them out today and run your game. When you look at the ACC slate, it doesn't look very exciting. That's because there are really only 2 teams to watch, Miami and SMU. They both control their destiny to get into the ACC championship game. And look, in all likelihood, they're going to get there. Miami could lose at Syracuse next week. They're a better team. They're more explosive. But hey, Syracuse can score a lot of points. Miami's defense isn't very good. Maybe things can get crazy. I don't know how crazy they get in the ACC this week. But at the very least, it is crunch time. And have you ever known November to be a month where crazy college football happenings just don't take place? I hope you don't look at the ACC slate and think that this week. So let's start with Miami and Wake Forest. Miami's favored by 24 points, according to our friends at FanDuel. Now, Wake Forest probably not going to make a bowl game because they'd have to win this game. They'd have to win their game next week. And maybe they get the 5-7 break. But at that point, who really cares? Miami is favored by 24 points. Do you know the last time they beat a team by more than 24 points? Which is what they'd have to, accomplish in order to cover this particular spread. It was all the way back in week 4 when they went to South Florida, who's not quite as good as we thought in the American Conference this year, but is still a solid team. Miami has a tendency to play close games. So I'm taking Miami to win, even though they didn't play last week, even though Wake Forest did. For some reason, this is just one of those games where I go, no, prove it to me, Miami. Prove to me you can beat a team by 25 or more points. That's not a standard for being an at-large college football playoff team, in my view, by the way. If they go 11-2, I think they should be in. I don't know that they will be, but we'll just have to wait and see. So I'll take Miami to win. Defense is just, maybe they got some stuff right during the bye week. That's what we're all watching for with the Hurricanes here, right? Can they figure out that side of the football? Did they do that during the bye week? We shall see against the Demon Deacons in the slow mesh, which I'm not a huge fan of, but, it works every now and then somewhat. So I'll take Miami to win 40-21. I think they knock off Wake Forest. Let's talk about SMU. They go to Virginia this week. Virginia's a better team than most people really thought, but is that making them a good enough team to keep up with SMU? I don't believe so. I really don't. And so SMU, being the lone unbeaten at this point in the season, after beginning the year, going to Nevada, going back and forth with quarterbacks, and struggling with a wolf pack, I got to say, after that game, wouldn't have seen that one coming. That's why you play an entire course of the season rather than just looking at it on paper, say, well, here's what's going to happen. We can talk about what's going to happen, what we think will happen, but then things have to actually happen. Well, SMU's been making it happen ever since that home loss to BYU. They haven't lost a football game. They're ranked ahead of BYU in the rankings. Doesn't actually make a whole heck of a lot of sense. But hey, that's something and not nothing for the Mustangs. I think SMU goes on the road. I think they win here 31-20. I'll take them over Virginia. Syracuse 7-3. Good first year for Fran Brown and company. I mean, a really good first year. Probably have Kyle McCord back at quarterback next year. That'd be my expectation anyway. I don't know where else he would go. And Syracuse was somewhat, not entirely, but somewhat done a pretty good job of taking advantage of a manageable schedule that they had coming into this year. They play UConn this week. UConn, surprisingly good independent. They're going to go to a bowl game again under Jim Mora Jr., but they will not beat Syracuse here. The Qs win 35-20 against the Huskies. How about the rivalry game of the week? Cal and Stanford. Stanford coming off that big emotional win against Louisville last week. Can you call it an emotional letdown spot if you had a field storming that looked like a low-level high school game? I'm sorry, Stanford, but that's just what it was. That's just what it looked like. And look, the fans that were there, hey, they got to see a top 20 upset. Good for Troy Taylor and company. They could beat San Jose State next week and get to 4 wins and have one more win than they had a season ago. That's entirely possible. They're not going to win this game, though. They're not going to. I think Cal wins, and I will take Cal to cover as well. 30-21. Give me the Golden Bears. Speaking of Louisville, they play Pitt this week. Pitt's in a free fall. Remember when Pitt was undefeated? Remember when Pitt was ranked inside the top 20? Pitt has not been able to, win football games. They've struggled doing that. So the Panthers are, they're at home. Oh, wait, no, they're not. They're on the road. They have to go to Louisville here. And Louisville, you go back and forth in this spot. Is it quitting time for Louisville, or is it rally time? Because Louisville's not going to the ACC championship game. So what does that leave for Jeff Brom's team to do? It's to say, well, we got one more game here. And, we're going to hunker down. We're going to pony up. Well, that's an SMU phrase, but I'll take Louisville 31-27. They knock off Pitt. Tyler Shuck's still been playing good football. They just haven't been playing winning football all the time. Virginia Tech at Duke, interesting game. Not because it has huge stakes, but because these are two teams that are a lot closer together than I thought they would be before the year. Thought Virginia Tech could get closer to the top. Thought Duke might be closer to the bottom, but Malik Murphy, Manny Diaz's defense, that's been a pretty solid combination this year. Virginia Tech, though, second half Virginia Tech of the season is what I expected to see first half of the season from Virginia Tech. And I think they go to Duke and win a close one. I mean, a close one, low scoring too. 21-20. Give me the Hokies to sneak one out. Sneak one out at Duke. How about the Thursday night game? Georgia Tech, NC State. Another couple of teams that are closer together than I thought they would be, because I thought they'd be at different ends of the spectrum this year. I thought Georgia Tech, I don't know. NC State, hey, this could be the year. No, this is not the year for NC State. This is not the year. And Georgia Tech is at home. They're favored by 8.5. I think they're barely going to miss covering. This could be like a late field goal kick by NC State. I think Georgia Tech keeps them at an arm's length distance, but then NC State comes around to cover that 8.5 number. So I'll take 28-20. The Yellow Jackets get it done against Wolfpack there, but like NC State in the points. North Carolina has been playing some pretty good football. North Carolina is almost exactly what I thought they were before the season. Like coming into this year, I wasn't particularly high on the Tar Heels. I don't know what they're going to do with Mac Brown after this year. When you have quarterback injuries in play, that makes it a difficult and less simple conversation for an athletic director to say, well, should we bring this guy back? Do we feel like he can still get us to a championship level? I thought without NFL level quarterback play from Sam Howell and Drake May previously, North Carolina would take a step back. And they kind of have. But is it reasonable to say what they would have been without him? I think so, because I wasn't that high on Max Johnson before the injury, but they've been playing better football as of late. Knocked off Wake Forest last week. I think they win this week at Boston College. This is a coin flip game, though. This is a coin flip game. I'm just riding North Carolina because I think they've settled down a bit at the quarterback position, and they've settled in a bit to the way they want to play football in 2024. So I'll take North Carolina, again in a close one, 28-27. They win at Boston College. That's the ACC this week. And I think the fascinating part, Clemson plays, who does Clemson play? Let me look. The Citadel. Oh, goodness. Florida State plays Charleston Southern. Those are two football games that nobody, and I repeat, nobody, is going to be watching this week. And I have many a times come on this show and said, hey, the SEC cupcake, it's ridiculous. It's absurd. ACC, same sort of thing. Shouldn't have it if you're only playing 8 conference games. That other game needs to be the ACC-SEC crossover, and that should be up and down across the entire league. You shouldn't have Clemson, who will play South Carolina next week. They shouldn't already be done with their ACC conference slate. It shouldn't be the case. But alas, here we are, because this is college football. It's the world we've created. It's not a perfect one, but it's just the one that we've got right now. So those are also football games that are happening. Florida State, bound to be the worst preseason top 10 team in history. I hope and pray, for the sake of those in Tallahassee, they beat Charleston Southern. I think they will. Appreciate everyone listening. I'll see you next time. And until then, hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.